welcome back to Air Tycoon Online. This is episode 5, I believe, and today is a really fun day because, first of all, our profit is starting to look pretty good. Um, the kind of main driver of this is what I've done is I have slightly lowered the customer service investment level to 5, and this is kind of eating into my ability to progress a little bit too much, though I could consider increasing this back up again a little bit to keep making some progress. The reason I did so is because there was a really, really intensely high fuel spike, and now that it's coming back down, it's of course a little bit easier to make a good profit. But when that was at its peak, if we take a look at my profit graphs, it was not looking too good. We were down in the 50Ks, and this was just kind of demoralizing as there's nothing to do with that kind of profit level. Anyhow, with that in mind, this is a really interesting time because it is time to open up some new bases. If we take a look at our image here, it is time to open up our bases of Paris and Frankfurt. And we're going to, first of all, we're going to do a little bit of a Tupolev bomb. I've been able to do so in London for quite some time now, as quite frankly, in London, we just ran out of slots. Yeah, I guess it's kind of just as simple as that. If you have no slots, you can't open flights, and you're not going to make any profit from not flying your aircraft. So we're going to go ahead and start opening just a few flights with some Tupolev 124s out of Paris. Yeah, once again, we're going to be doing a pretty sloppy job here. Incorrect slot allocations, incorrect, I'm not sure, pricing, it's okay. Basically, we just want to get them out real fast because the turn is about to pass. It is, yeah, there's 1 minute left in this turn, so we'll see how much we can get done before the turn passes. Yeah, and then after that, we start to get to the real fun stuff, which is the 747s, which are, of course, are the money makers in this strategy, not the Tupolevs. The Tupolevs are just there to not lose money. Excuse me. Of course, you have to still fly the Tupolevs, because not flying them will lose you a lot of money per Tupolev, and with that many of them, compared to Boeing 747, it's quite a bit of a burden to carry. So if you put them on a slight profit just by flying them, on these decent level routes, which I'm making now, they can actually make a good amount of profit that does feel pretty good. Definitely noticeable, and we're into turn processing now, so not much we can do here, I guess. Let's see if we can just time it correctly and find that little timing as the turn takes over. Yeah, this world is going pretty good so far. Basically, I have the highest profit, I believe. If this is the third place player, I don't want to take a look while the turn is passing in case it passes and just doesn't give me next turn's information. But last time I checked, I had higher profit than him, which was really, really nice, which means just the number 1 and 2 players have higher profit per take than me. And the number 1 player is pulling away from the number 2 player in a sense, especially in this fuel spike. The second place player has not invested very heavily, and I think it's going to start to bite him back. And his route selection is just a little bit worse in general. So with that in mind, yeah, basically I expect the number 1 player to pull away and to be our kind of number 1 challenger throughout this playthrough. And hopefully we can overtake him without spending any credits on things you couldn't normally purchase. And yeah, the branch expense will cut into our profit quite a bit, even though our actual profit has not been lowered too much at all. So yeah, let's also make sure for the next tick we have enough counters and slots, of course. And all these things, yep, make sure we have enough of those. I think we buy a maintenance here too. Of course, I said I don't want to use too many credits, but I am going to use the credits that the game gave me by default. So far, we have spent 18 of those on permanent upgrades. So yeah, we're going to kind of keep track of that. I know the game gives you at least like 80 or something like that. I'll add it up exactly when I start to get close. So that's probably not enough for any airports. That's going to be just maintenances, and I probably should have been careful there because the best maintenance might have actually been spent on Paris 2 when that is built, as I'll have a lot more slots on Paris 2 when that's built compared to Paris 1. But if I'm really picky about that, I'm probably going to have enough. Sorry, excuse me, I'm still a little bit sick. If I'm picky about it, yeah, I'm probably gonna have enough slots in either Paris airport to make that a kind of worthwhile purchase. As I'm gonna want to have a maintenance depot at all my major airports. I recommend the maintenance depot over the fuel because um, even me, who has kind of a lot of spare time, even I will miss like checks for fuel. The fuel will empty in the mid to later game every single turn. Um, so unless you are there to fill the fuel every single turn, you're going to be losing a lot of value on the fuel tanks. So I would not recommend. Um, I would not recommend fuel tanks unless you're really, really diligent about making sure you fill them up and only missing those few nighttime um, kind of deliveries or not nighttime deliveries, but like nighttime, uh, ticks. If you just miss those, maybe it's not too bad, but even still, why not just buy the maintenance and just have um, all your savings be completely passive? That seems a little bit simpler to me, and it's probably going to be simpler for you as well. This is a really good route to be just a monopoly. I'm kind of curious as to what the player in Paris does not seem to be too active. Um, yeah, for whatever reason, all the best players in this game tend to play in Asia. I think it's probably because they're Asian, right? Um, but that's kind of like an interesting bias to me because I'm not European and have always preferred the European cities just because geographically they kind of have the most advantages. And yeah, I've always just picked based on that instead of some like a inherent locality bias based on where I was born or something like that, though. In a lot of games, the first place I do try to play is in my hometown or North America, but then you very quickly discover the meta. And at least for me, that kind of determines where I really want to play in the late game. As it's just more interesting. There's more things you can do when you're playing towards the meta. Um, so, yeah, anyways, with kind of all these routes made, it is time to order some Boeing 747s. I don't know how many to order with a premium configuration for premium routes. I don't want to make it this premium, I don't think. Maybe something like this. Yeah, 13, maybe a little bit more business class. And because there's a few pretty good routes that we want to make. So maybe just 4 of these is actually a good amount. Um, so the first one I wanted to do is Osaka. I think this is a point in the game where I just request 24 slots and forget about it, kind of. And not try to kind of micromanage the slot count too accurately, as that's kind of like no longer like of my concern and maximum benefit to do so, as well it just takes too long. It's a bit too complicated and it's a bit too annoying. So I do want to do the exact price sets, as I don't want to change this later. So I'm just going to put the final prices in and kind of hope that works. Let's see, we wanted Mexico City. Yep, that's for sure. Mexico City is a really surprisingly great airport to have no competition to Paris. If I can't find a good stopover, I'll just fly direct, I think. Alexandria, nope. Let's check the Middle East. Rydia is the best option here. But Rydia is not really good enough to warrant a plane of this caliber, so I think I'll just fly this direct. Yeah, I mean, it's not my favorite thing to do, but honestly, it'll still make a good amount of money, and it'll probably make them be the most profitable route in my company. Which will also just look kind of cool, so why not? Although it might be Sao Paulo. Yeah, it might be Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo is a little bit better. And this also has to be a direct flight because there's no stopover counter pairing on the other side. And I don't really want to fly these as 3 scheduled per week stopovers because they're just such good flights, and the other side won't have enough demand for it. So whoops, that's not the right place. Paris. Yeah, so if we go to the other side, there's not like an equivalently good stopover destination on this side of the pond. So don't really want to create that imbalance. It's not something which is pleasant to deal with later on. So yeah, and for some reason they did Rio, but not. Oh, maybe it's the 707 range or something like that. But still pretty unusual to stop there. Let's just check cities like Denver, which is one I often forget about because it's just right there in the middle by itself. But yeah, it looks like we ordered one too many um, of these premium cabins. So let's just make the most premium cabin we can out of what we have left. So that'd be something like Hiroshima or Fukuoka. Yeah, maybe Hiroshima. It's probably the closest city to the correct size. We can stop this over in Paris and do one of these U.S. cities, which are decent. Maybe Memphis. Yeah, why not? And boom, that's going to be a little profitable stopover flight with probably a little bit too big business class, first class, but it should be close enough that it's a very small loss. There we go. And now we want probably more Tupolev. Let me just check Frankfurt to see if it's worth doing Frankfurt at the same time. And Frankfurt is basically just as open, so let's see which one's bigger. Paris is 800 business and tour. Frankfurt is about it's about just 50 points smaller. And sorry, I'm dying. I should probably go to sleep. But I was just like, I was gonna do this anyway, and I wanted to get on video. Um, so here we are. Anyhow, yeah, Frankfurt is basically just the same as Paris, right? So we'll just do Paris. About equivalent size routes first. Though I do want to do a Tupolev bomb in Frankfurt just to keep the slots occupied as soon as I can. So we'll probably do that if we get the chance. If we have enough Tupolevs, we have 10 more here, so we're looking to do shorter range routes, just to bomb more slots. Yeah, I kind of hate doing this because the shorter range routes are less profitable than the mid range routes, like 1,000 kilometers ish. Like 1,000 kilometers, like a really good sweet spot for how much these planes make. Where under 1,000 kilometers, they kind of struggle. So yeah, with kind of that in mind, I don't want to make too many super short range routes, but just at the shy end of the sweet spot is probably good. Um, let's see what we have available. I'll probably like Glasgow is pretty good. Yep. I don't know why. I have the habit of doing the best flights first, right? But in this case, it doesn't really matter because every single one of these flights is going to be full anyway. Like whether or not it's Glasgow, which is a city with considerably more business and tour than say Basel, it doesn't matter. The flight will be full anyway. Um, but it's just kind of preference. Like if somebody sees a line there, they're less likely to check what the plane is and if they can compete and that kind of thing. But anyhow, we're gonna just continue to go as fast as we can. Um, let's do kind of Manchester, I guess. Once again, these are good routes with more than enough demand for these planes. These would be enough later on to upgrade to say something like a 7. Definitely more than a 737, but maybe not too much more. Maybe like a 757 size aircraft would actually be kind of the amount of demand you'd expect from these kind of routes. So that's actually pretty good. 757, now that I'm saying it, sounds a little bit big, but hey, it's probably fine, right? It's probably about the right size. Anyhow, yeah, one thing I have noticed in this world is the World Traveler Index is below 2,800, which I think is quite low for 1972, and it kind of took a really big and sudden dip. Which, yeah, once again, for me, it's kind of interesting because I don't like it. I prefer the World Traveler Index to be higher, but I also recognize that it's probably a good thing for my competitiveness because I know where to find good routes, even when the World Traveler Index is very, very low, where people who are already making routes that are slightly worse would really struggle if the World Traveler Index was to drop more. So, anyhow, I will spend the small amount. Oh, you know what I realized I should be doing is I should order a promotion and then open a base. Because then the promotion is extremely kind of undervalued, right? Because oh my God, whoever is in Frankfurt prefers short range routes a lot more than the person in Paris, as you can see. But that's still fine, right? We can just open slightly worse close range routes. Yeah, but the slot usage is so similar. I find that pretty interesting, right? That the quality of route selection, at least in the short haul, is drastically better in Frankfurt. But the long haul is kind of just as flawed. Yeah, I should have been taking advantage of this. I should have ordered a promotion in. I don't know how many promotion cards you get actually, so maybe not. Like, do you get promotion cards like over time, or do you get that many and that's how it is? I am actually unsure, guys. So if you guys know, please let me know because that can be pretty useful, right? To have extra promotion cards to use when you need it or when you need just a little bit of extra demand here and there. Yeah, that definitely could be very, very, very useful. Otherwise, I won't use the second one just in case. They're completely limited. You only get two or something, and that's as many as you get. And you have to pay credits or something for more. I don't actually know, so I won't use them too willy nilly. Until I try and find out at least, or I discovered that the one I did use renews itself, so I have more, something like that. Um, Anyhow, yeah, there's not enough slots here, but yeah, once again, we'll fix all of these when we're kind of going less fast and just kind of being chilling. But yeah, I just want to make sure I occupy kind of slots whenever possible here. So we're just gonna keep going. One thing I do want to do is I have a lot of one scheduled Tupolevs in operating in London, so we do want to fix that whenever we can. Um, yeah, flying a single schedule Tupolev 124 is not very profitable, so we're gonna go ahead and move some of those over too. This will also give us a little bit more slot breathing room in London, I think. Not that many, but just a little bit. Yeah, let's see if we can find them. Can we sort by slot usage? No, we really can't. So we're just gonna have to look for ones with one like this. Close it. Get the Tupolev back. Something like this. Close this. And kind of set these to flight in London to Leeds. It's only 10, so go ahead and close that. Yeah, we've had to do this for quite a few flights, as you can see, just to make some slots in order to fly all these routes to London and yeah, just like long haul to London, right? We've sacrificed the short haul for the long haul, which is completely worth it, but just feels a little bit unfortunate. So yeah, let's go ahead and grab a little bit closer range just to occupy more slots probably. Yeah, like these routes once again will probably almost certainly be full anyway. Maybe not actually, but like if I get significantly below 200 business and tour, that is a small route, right? So we will try not to get too much worse than 200. But yeah, flights like this probably fine. Probably fine, but there we go. Yeah, really sorry you guys have had to listen to me be sick basically for this video. It's probably not too pleasant, but yeah, I really wanted to kind of get this video out as these are like really important points for your kind of company is when you open your first couple bases, what do you want to do? Well, you want to occupy the slots. Of course, in Air Tycoon Online, it won't be too long before a new airport builds or whatever, but it's just like a convenience thing. You don't want to be trying to expand and there's no slots and you have nothing to spend your new shiny planes on because you really want to get them flying as soon as possible. Yeah, not playing for a single day can result in being quite far behind in this game, which is why I usually avoid playing during busy school terms and stuff like that. But it's my final one. It's pretty chill. So yeah, that is pretty good. That is pretty good indeed. So yeah, only one more Tupolev, and we can make another couple of kind of exciting Boeing routes. We only left enough money for 3 of them. We probably could have leased a couple more if we really tried. But yeah, that's okay. We'll be able to lease them back kind of in the very next turn, right? Yeah, I just really importantly want to grab as many slots as possible because I wouldn't be surprised if I woke up tomorrow morning and all these remaining slots in somewhere like Frankfurt are gone, right? Oh, and we managed to kind of lock both Frankfurt and Paris out anyway. So that's kind of exactly what we're going for. Now we can just spend our last three leases on some Boeing 747s. Let's shrink the premium cabins just a little bit. I think this is good, something like this. Don't want to shrink it too much because we're making kind of like decent routes. Um, I think just make them to Paris first because um, there's just as much availability from Paris, and Paris is the slightly superior city in terms of its own business and tour values. Um, so yeah, we're just going to be able to make good routes to Japan, and yeah, almost every Japanese city is a good one. So we can do Japan, Paris, and St. Louis. No, something like Indianapolis. Yeah. Oh yeah, we should just get used to clicking max now, is because we're gonna be clicking these buttons a lot if we don't. And yeah, just save yourself some time there. Once you start to branch out in bases, you're probably going to do so a lot, and you're probably going to fly to most of the destinations you fly to in one base from the other two. Especially if it's a bigger city. If it's a smaller city, maybe not. But Indianapolis is a pretty big size city to fly in between your major bases, right? So, yeah. Oh, Jeju is looking really good. Jeju is like a newly opened airport, right? So I kind of forgot about it initially, but because it's now open, we can of course open some very profitable stopover routes to Jeju. So yep, then place another 747. Once again, each one of these makes probably as much as 10 Tupolevs, maybe more. So these really are the breadwinners of your company. I'll show you guys my routes in a second. Um, as soon as we finish opening these couple routes, let's go ahead and go from maybe Nagoya. Oh, Nagoya is a little bit small. Kagoshima, why not? A little bit better, just a little bit better. But at this point, that kind of stuff probably matters still a little bit. Very soon we'll kind of stop caring about that little difference. But oh, why am I ordering exact slots? Oh well, it's too late. We've done ordered exact slots. That's fine. With instant request, right? It's really not so bad, and that's, to me, it's worth the money I spent for that. And hey, if we want to play this game more in the future, it'll eventually become permanent, and we won't have to do it. And I'll probably want to stop spending my credits so readily because, well, even at that point, we'll have like 5,000, right? So maybe not. Maybe not. All right. Anyways, with that in mind, we can no longer afford any more planes. So let's kind of see what we've managed to do. So we managed to open all these new routes. Let's see if we can fix these slots. So where's this Malmo? Yeah, anywhere where I see maxed out slots in Europe, I'm just going to order some more, I think. That might be the strategy. Bilbao, order some more. Boom, boom, bada bing. Stuttgart. I mean, it could be exact in Stuttgart and stuff like that, but it'd be kind of surprising if it was. And then we can just go ahead and do max schedules percentage. And, well, not all of them are fixed, so let's try and fix these manually. I forget where Malmo is. Ah, there it is. I didn't see it. Little bugger. Let's go ahead and request max here. Yeah, it's just going to be bothering me so much if that's just like one off even, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so let's see how the routes are doing, what we were originally doing. So this is still, the fuel spike is not completely gone away, so these numbers are a little bit deflated, but you kind of get the idea. Here's a least stop over 7% with a good range breakpoint. As you can see, it is making almost 10K, which is extremely good. If we scroll down a little bit to, let's sort by plane, so we get kind of proper stopover configurations. And go down. Yeah, like to like an unoptimal one. This one's not even full. It is November, right? So it's not the best month, but yeah, we can see that like Almaty, like where's Almaty? You know what I mean? Like to Sacramento, these are not good cities, and the first class is actually full, so we finally kind of got the balance between those, right? Yeah, like here's another one. You can see that the premium classes are a bit too big, so had to lower the prices a little bit. Yeah, and we can see they're making about 7K, which is still not bad at all. Even, with decreased prices, they're of course not as good. Like this one is just kind of struggling. Yeah, this is just a result of the demand is just not enough. But this is probably about the kind of route that you want to stop making flights on. Anything small in this, and you could probably use the plane somewhere else that's better. And anything too much bigger, you're not putting enough competition on it, and people could move in and try and compete. But I would say there's actually an occupancy dip here, so what that says is it's also just about the right size. Because if the plane was any bigger, the occupancy dips would be more. So a route like this could be an A380, of course, but it doesn't exist yet. So one thing you can do is actually just put a 707 on top. So you run two planes, one big, one small, both stopovers, and excuse me, and that could actually be a really good option for your most profitable routes later on. Um, but like for now, of course, right, you're limited by the number of planes you have. You need more, not less, so that's not really an issue. Yeah, this will always bother me, the fact that I have 54 and only 49 or at least like if I was gonna spend that much on 747s, they could be 747 200s, right? I could be flying weird and wacky routes where you can't normally do it without a 200 like this. You know what I mean? Like it looks kind of far, but it works. I could fly to Jakarta. You know, I could do Cebu and Manila, like just like cool stopovers you are not otherwise enabled to do. Santiago's already been taken, but I could do Buenos Aires. You know, but I could do Lima. But we just can't until we're able to afford those really expensive 747-2s. Anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode because I did. And yeah, like this is just like really good profit altogether. This is random November, so the next update, just onwards and upwards. Oh yeah, one really important thing I almost forgot is we already did it in Paris, but I don't think I did it enough. So let's go and how do we do this? Let's make this 20. That should be enough. Beautiful. And then Frankfurt, we'll do at least 10. I don't think we did any 747s in Frankfurt, so it won't become a big problem. But yeah, we're gonna do this as well. So yeah, okay. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.